Welcome to the Manifestation Babe podcast. My name is Catherine Zinkina, and I'm a manifestation expert, master mindset coach, and multiple seven-figure entrepreneur. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve everything that you once thought was impossible. If you're looking to massively up-level your life, your finances, your relationships, your productivity and success, then you have come to the right place. My goal in this podcast is to help you see the infinite potential within yourself to be, do, and have anything that your heart desires. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of mindset development to help you maximize who you are and where you're going. Leave it to me to provide you with the tools, the resources, the strategies, and teachings that you need to manifest a reality wilder than your wildest dreams. I know we're about to have so much fun together, so thank you so much for pushing play today. And now let's begin. Hello, gorgeous souls, and welcome back to the Manifestation Babe podcast. I hope you guys are staying healthy, staying well, and having an amazing day today. I have just finished an epic breathwork session where I just released so much, and now I feel on top of the world. So, guys, if you're not doing your breath work, go ahead and listen to episode number 134 with Samantha Skelly because it has changed the game. My goal is to get you to a point where you're annoyed by me saying that you need to do breath work because I'm going to keep bringing it up. It is that magical. So I switched up my morning routine recently, and it's been a game changer for me. And really, this podcast inspiration is coming from actually a breathwork session that I did yesterday, where I want to share with you guys my personal practices for keeping my mindset in tip-top shape. And I know I've been talking a lot about my practices and sharing some of my morning and evening routines and how I've been switching them up, as the years go by or as the months go by, and I find myself needing different things, or I find myself in a different place in my life where, for instance, my mornings are busier and sometimes my mornings are more freer. I don't know if that's even a word, freer. Or my evenings are pretty busy, or my evenings are pretty open. And it just depends on where I am in my life that determines my personal practices. And I've been talking a lot about that in the past, where I mentioned that, guys, there is no perfect practice, okay? Anyone who tells you that this is going to be the morning practice for you that's going to turn you into a millionaire is lying. It is bullshit. You know why? Because every single person has a unique soul signature or energetic imprint in which one practice might work for someone, but for you and the way that it resonates with you could be completely different. And for you, you might absolutely hate meditating for an hour every single morning. Maybe meditation is an evening activity for you. And for someone else, maybe meditation is a morning activity. And for them, they got to do it an hour a freaking day. And for someone else, it's like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. You guys get my point. And so I really want to start this podcast episode off with the fact that these practices are always going to change. And especially with circumstances, as circumstances change, like the circumstances that we're currently finding ourselves in as a mass population, as a society, as all the human beings stretched across the earth. We're finding ourselves in circumstances that we have never really found ourselves in before. And so, of course, circumstances are going to change our personal practices. And for me, I have found myself needing a lot more than I normally do. When I'm on my A game in life, like meaning my external circumstances are fantastic, I find myself maintaining my mindset at about I don't know, my morning routine might take about 15 minutes and my evening routine might take 15 minutes. And then I just do stuff in between that keeps me maintaining my mindset in tip-top shape. When my external circumstances look a little uncertain, I don't really know what's going on, it feels a little off, or I feel like there's inner work, like deep inner work that I'm doing, because it comes in waves, you guys. Sometimes you're going to be riding a smooth wave and sometimes life is going to hit you with a rougher and you're going to be like, shit, that just came up and I really need to work on that. And I don't know about you, but for me, I've been facing some rough waves. And so my personal practices have been a lot more in depth and a lot more stretched out. And I've been doing a lot more throughout the day to keep myself in that shape. And I don't know if I ever really shared this before, but how I got even introduced to the concept of personal development and inner work, it was actually, besides my experience with The Secret and some law of attraction books when I was 16, as if you guys do remember my story, maybe you don't, I don't know, maybe you're a brand new listener, maybe you've been listening to me for about a few years. I discovered the book The Secret when I was 16 years old, and I was kind of on and off with the law of attraction up until college. And it was in college when I came about the world of online business. And in my MLM company that I signed up with, my upline, who is now my best friend, Stephanie Burgos, she told me, and basically everyone else in this online business, in this industry would always say, hey, your results in your business are a direct reflection of how much personal development you do. The level of success that you achieve is in direct proportion of your mindset. And I remember being pretty warmed up to the concept of mindset. And I remember being pretty warmed up to the concept of reading books that put me in a positive space because I discovered the law of attraction through The Secret. And ever since then, I was like, oh yeah, this feels so much better than me reading my textbooks. Like, hell yeah, I want to read these kind of books, right? This is way better than Harry Potter. No offense to Harry Potter. I just would much rather read incredible books to help me be the best version of myself and create a fantasy kind of life in real life than get caught up in an actual fantasy, right? So I'm all about the nonfiction personal development books. Even though there's nothing wrong with fiction, I just find myself really disinterested in fiction because I don't feel like I need to escape from my life. And I don't feel like I can't create this fantasy level kind of life in real life where I can basically write the script, write the novel, write the book of my life, however it is that I want it to be. I am now the author. And so for me, nonfiction is very attractive. And so back in the day, guys, and if you don't believe me, just ask my friend Stephanie Burgos because she is a witness to all of this. I used to do back in college, I don't know how, you guys, but this goes to show you how much time we have in our day that we are not conscious of. When we constantly say, oh, I don't have time for that, I don't have time for that, we have as much time in the day as Beyonce, as they say, right? Look up any successful person that you admire. You have the exact same hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds in the day as they do. And so this really taught me about how much time I would waste thinking that I don't have time, because in college, I would commute to my university. It was about an hour and a half away from my house. I don't know why I decided to do this crazy thing. This is what we do when we want to save money. When we are coming from a broke consciousness, we go out of our way to save every single penny we can. And I was very against taking out extra loans. And in exchange, I basically created this situation where I was living at home with my parents to save as much money as possible, which I do not regret. However, I could have probably been I could have created a little less hectic of a life if I would have chosen to just rent a place by campus. But you know what? The situation that I created for myself in my parents' house is exactly what led me here. So in the end, everything works out for a reason. So then I would have an hour and a half drive back, and then I would have my mornings, I would have my evenings, I would have my in-between classes, I'd have my lunch. And during those times, I would listen to personal development books. I would not veer off from my personal development books. I did so much mindset work, you guys. It was insane. And that's what really built the foundation for me. You see, mindset, you guys, is a muscle, and you got to take this muscle to the gym. And what I find most people doing is that, what I wanted to mention was I literally used to do an Audible a day. So I would listen to Audible books and I would consume almost a book, if not a book a day, because I would use my entire commute to university, my entire commute back. And then in between classes, I would always have headphones in. I'm like, I'm listening to my mindset work because I want to be successful, right? So that was such a powerful association for me, because that's exactly what got me to where I am today, because that was the initial shaping of this foundation. And so your mindset is something that you got to take to the gym. And if you think about it, let's say that you want to build a ton of muscle. Okay. You want to go out there and you want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay. Let's just pretend. And you go to the gym, and most people, what they do is they go to the gym for like 7 days in a row, or they go to the gym for like 10 minutes a day, right, for a few months, and they expect themselves to look like Arnold, or they expect themselves to be shredded, or they expect themselves to have all this muscle mass, right? Think of your mindset. Okay, this is the comparison that I'm making is to your mindset. A lot of people think that by day 7, they're going to look amazing, or they're going to feel amazing, that they're going to have all their shit together by day 7. When in reality, it might take 6, 12, 18 months, 24 months to build that foundation. But once you have that foundation, and let me tell you, the fastest way to build a foundation, you guys, is not just by reading books. I think books are awesome. They're a great start for many people, but I think that books are more of a maintainer than they really are something that's going to inspire you to jump into action. And what I mean by that is not a knock at books, because obviously, guys, I read books like crazy, is because it's so easy for you to put down a book and never stay accountable to what the book wants you to do. It's so easy for you to, be like, oh, that sounds great. Awesome. I might do that later, right? Versus a live event, versus a course, and a course that literally forces you to sit down, to open up the prompts, to put the inner work into action and take action steps off of whatever the course teaches us. There are different levels of how we can do mindset work. And I think that courses, live events, coaches, masterminds, group coaching, all of that stuff is kind of like the express freeway for getting to, having that mindset in tip-top shape, becoming successful. And I think that books are really great at maintaining. I think that when you've built the foundation, then what you do, when you've built the foundation at the gym, then what you do is you maintain it. And you maintain it with books, and you maintain it with going to events, not as often as you did before, but still you go to events because you want to kind of brush the dust off. You collect some dust, and then you're like, why am I starting to fall back into old patterns? Maybe I should go to that event again. And you go back and you're like, oh, fuck yeah, I already knew all this. Awesome. Yes, I got this. Cool. Ready to come home, ready for action. And so once you have that foundation, it becomes so much easier to maintain it and build upon it if you so choose. And my personal practices today really is about maintaining, really is about keeping my mindset in tip-top shape so that I am thinking at the highest level, so that I have beliefs that serve me, and so that I'm not procrastinating. And just a funny story, guys, after my breathwork session this morning, literally half an hour ago, it was during my journaling session. I was like, maybe I will just record my podcast episode tomorrow. Maybe I should just take the day off, which is so funny because that's what I said yesterday, right? And so I put off this podcast episode until today because this idea really came to me yesterday. And then I was like, oh my God, that sneaky perfectionism bastard, that sneaky procrastination bastard. That procrastination is coming from perfectionism. And again, as my friend Sam Brown says, if you haven't listened to episode number 129, go ahead and do that, because she talks about how procrastination and perfectionism is just a strategy to avoid shame around you feeling like you're not enough, around you feeling like you might fail, around you feeling like something isn't good enough, something that you might produce is not going to be good enough. And so you're avoiding feeling bad about yourself. You're avoiding some sort of feeling, some sort of negative emotion, which, guys, emotions are part of the human experience, and all they are is just vibration going through your body. That's all emotion is. It's just energy and motion, and all energy is vibration, and it's just vibration moving through your body. That's all it comes down to. We work so hard to avoid vibrations. It's ridiculous. All it is just energy. And so I literally wrote down my journal, Catherine, no, you're going to record the episode today because you are no longer a perfectionist. You do things because you commit to doing things. You are in integrity with the highest version of yourself. And so if you decide to do something, you're going to do it. Whether you completely lose your train of thought, you cough and fart and sneeze in the middle of the episode, like, doesn't matter. You're going to record it and you're going to upload it. And so I'm like, okay, that is funny. That is why we keep doing this work, you guys. That is why no matter how successful you are, you're either building a foundation or maintaining a foundation. Because if you do not maintain, you guys, what ends up happening? Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, if he stops working out for 10 years, he's going to lose his muscle mass. Okay. He's going to build up some fat, right? He's going to lose his strength. He's going to lose his hardness, right? It's just a fact of nature. Okay. It's just a fact of life. And so if you're not maintaining, well, you got to maintain. And so all of these principles, especially the ones that I teach inside of MBA, because MBA really is like everything I know about everything you need to know about manifesting your dream life. I don't put any fluff in there. I don't put any BS in there. I only put what you actually need to know and what works. And everything inside of MBA is a compilation of all of the spiritual principles that have grown me into who I am as a spiritual being in human form today. This is like the foundational of the foundational work that's shaped me to where all I do now is build upon that foundation and also maintain it. So it's the very foundation of my muscle, my mindset muscle. And from that, what I do in order to maintain it is, first of all, every time I relaunch MBA, which today's the last day to sign up. If you know that MBA is the program for you to help you build this foundation, because trust me, all of my past students, they come back to me every single round and they're like, Catherine, I am able to handle any challenge in my life now because of the principles that I learned inside of MBA. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can be, do, and have anything that I want. And guess what? Because of the spiritual principles inside of MBA, I manifested this, and this. And so every time I relaunch, I'm like, I need to go back and I need to keep that muscle fresh. I need to keep refreshing it. I need to keep reworking it. I need to keep that foundation steady. And then on top of that, like what I've recently been doing and some of my personal practices are, for instance, number one most important to me right now, at least, is breath work. Now, if you haven't listened to episode number 134 with Samantha Skelly, where she dives into what breathwork is, definitely go back and listen to it. She also gives you like a sample of how to do it. And just from that 90-second sample, you can get a taste of what's possible in like a 30-minute session. And in the episode, she dives into what it is, why it's beneficial, how it works. And I've actually been doing her audios as part of my morning practice inside of her 6-week program, which I will link for you in the show notes. I believe it's something like www.pausebreathwork.com/mbjourney or something like that. She gave you guys a special link so that it's very easy to find, and I will post that in the show notes for you. So I've been doing that, and it's been really great because obviously my studio that I normally go to has closed down. And I need some virtual breathwork help. It's way more fun to have a guide who helps you through it. And guys, I love this practiced so much that I'm actually going to become a facilitator in it by the end of the year. So it's amazing. And every time I do it, I've never felt more crystal clarity in my life than after doing breath work. And I started doing it in the morning, and I used to do it at night. But what I found is that at night, I would get so many ideas and so much clarity around something that I've been working on that I couldn't help but like write it down in my notes. And then by the time the next morning comes around, I'm like, like I kind of forgot. There's no like juice behind my ideas, right? Usually when it's in the moment, you're like, oh my God, I have to do that. I have to say that. I have to change that. I have to rewrite that. I have to edit that. I have to create this. You're just like on fire because you have juice behind you. And so what I started to do is I started to do it in the morning. And the ideas that flow out of me are ridiculous. They're insane. I have crystal clear clarity. For instance, I've been working on a little like side project for you guys that I want to share with you. It's going to be free. It's just something you download. It's really awesome. It's really going to help you keep your mindset in tip-top shape for the next 30 days because I'm turning it into this 30-day thing. And I've been working on it and kind of taking myself through this process and being like, oh my God, this makes sense. Delete number 4, put number 5 after number 7, and then change this to this. And it's just so clear. And, on top of that, this podcast episode was brought to you by Breathwork. So can't recommend it enough. Another thing that I do to maintain is what I'm talking about, my new journaling prompts that you'll get to have soon. This has been the best way to start my day. It is a collection of like reworking and releasing any thoughts that don't serve me and then really focusing on what will serve me. And it helps me really tap into being the creator, like a creator mode, and really helps me tap into understanding that I am the creator of my own reality, where nothing outside of me needs to change in order for me to have everything that I need. And everything that I need is already within me. And I created like essentially 12 short prompts, and I'm reworking through them. And every single morning I wake up and I go through them. I go through the practice and I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. It just gets me off on the right foot. And then right after that, I do breath work. It's just amazing. And I'll give you guys this soon. I'll make an announcement in a future podcast, and all you're going to have to do is just download it. And it's going to be a 30-day journal where every single morning you just take yourself through these 12 prompts. And I know it sounds like a lot, but I promise you it's very short. Like some questions are very, very short, like require 1 sentence. Okay. Some require a little bit more, but it's so good. The next thing I've been doing is, a 30-minute meditation. However, what I've done instead of doing it in the morning is I started doing it in the evening. And I started setting an intention that has been so freaking powerful for me, which is I set an intention every evening to channel divine wisdom from source. And I set the intention to channel divine wisdom from source for myself or for my students and audience. And something I've been doing also is I actually got into this thing called tachyon illumination rods. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. I'm actually going to link this in the show notes just so you can go on the website and see for yourself. I might also, by the time this podcast goes live, have a discount code for you because I reached out to the company and I'm like, yo, these things are changing my life, and I would love to share this with my audience because I already told my friends to get them and they all got them and they're like, whoa, Catherine, this is incredible. I'm just like the spokesperson of the tachyon illumination rods right now. I initially heard of them from Shaman Durek. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's really, really awesome. And I started using them, and essentially what they are, and I'll just read this straight from like this insert that comes with my tachyon rods, which is, tachyon is a subatomic particle that moves faster than the speed of light. Tachyon infuses physical matter with spiritual light. Tachyon illumination rods will penetrate your energy field with spiritual light, aligning and balancing your chakras and increasing your ability to heal. And all you do is you just hold them in your hands and you set an intention for what you want the rods to do. So I always tell my rods, I say, Spirit of Tachyon, and I learned this from Shaman Durek, Spirit of Tachyon, thank you for putting me into a deep meditation for the next 30 minutes. and opening me up to channel divine wisdom directly from source for myself or for my students. I am now open and ready to receive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then boom, guys, it's like instantaneous. I go into the deepest meditation that I've never been able to access unless I've sat there already for 30 minutes. You know, like if you ever had like a really long meditation or really done a long meditation, it takes at least 30 to 45 minutes to really get deep, deep, deep there where you just don't hear anything, you don't smell anything, you don't feel anything. It's just like you're levitating at that point. Tachyon takes me there immediately. It's insane. Just a couple other pointers about Tachyon here on the insert as well is other ways that it can help you. So for instance, it says to enhance intuition and psychic abilities, which totally helps with that, I've noticed. Helps clear and balance chakras. Anytime you feel you need a boost in energy, anytime I'm done with a podcast or a live stream or doing anything that kind of where I've done a lot of talking and I've done a lot of energy output, I will take my tachyons and I will set the intention for them to infuse me back with all of the energy that I may have lost, and all the energy from source to help me kind of fill up my cup back up. And it works instantly. Anytime you feel you need a boost in energy, to enhance meditations for magnified manifestations, to help with sleep, to help any area that needs healing, great for neuropathy or circulation issues when used by feet. I actually sleep with them and they really help keep my hands warm. I don't know if you have circulation issues like me where your hands and feet are always cold. Just by holding on to them or keeping them near my body, like near my feet or near my hands while I sleep, I've stayed really comfortable and warm at night. To help protect your energy field and ease anxiety. It's great for empaths, to enhance all healing modalities when placed in clients' hands, for soothing animals and kids. And the best part also about these things is that they are self-regenerating, so you don't ever have to cleanse them. So you don't ever have to like smudge them or anything like that. And you can actually share them with as many people as you want, and it will never take on someone else's energy, which I think is awesome. And then on top of holding my tachyon rods, what I've been doing is I've been putting on a sleep mask so that I can just deprive myself of all visual senses, sensory deprivation. So I like to put sleep mask on for extra focus. It really drops me in so much faster. And then I personally like to do it in complete silence. But if you have like some noisy people in your house right now, which you totally might, you could always turn on nature sounds, or you could put your headphones in, turn on some music that makes you feel good, or even do a guided meditation. Now, the next practice that has really been helping me stay in tip-top shape is one that I've already mentioned, but so good. Can never stop mentioning it. Emotional freedom technique, also known as EFT, also known as tapping. It's my best tool for anxiety. Like anytime I have anxiety, this is my go-to on top of anything else. Breathwork as well, but EFT is just faster, right? Breathwork could be like a 30-minute session. You don't always have time in the moment. Maybe you're struggling with anxiety in the middle of something. Maybe it's something that hits you in the middle of the day. You can just whip out your tapping. And essentially what tapping is as I've explained in some previous episodes during the 4-day faith challenge, if you missed that, basically tapping is also known as psychological acupressure. So if you ever heard of acupuncture, where they put needles into your body and like on certain meridians, on certain points, well, basically it like comes from the same thinking, the same science, where if you simply tap on the points along the energetic meridians in your body, you will be able to release stuck emotions or pain in the body. And how most stuck emotions or most anxieties or most limiting beliefs or most disturbances come from these energetic disturbances. When you have stuck energy, what you do when you tap is not only do you release the energetic blockages, but you're also sending a signal to your brain to relax. So it's going right to the part of your brain that controls for stress, and you're just telling your brain to chill the F out. And this is a non-negotiable tool that I teach to my MBA students, and I show them specifically how to use this tool for eliminating charge limiting beliefs. And if you think about it, limiting beliefs are beliefs that are charged. They come with some sort of negative emotional charge, where anytime you think of this thought, it's limiting you in some way and it's keeping you stuck, and it's really something that's bothering you. And so when you do this process, you're able to remove not only the negative charge from the limiting belief, but once you eliminate the negative charge, it is then neutralized. And once it's neutralized, then you're able to easily and effortlessly flip it and reframe it into something positive, something that's going to serve you. And so this is why I teach EFT specifically for limiting beliefs inside the program, and also give you guys access to my tapping into massive wealth program, which is all about your top 7 deeply ingrained financial beliefs that I find that most people have. You use this process to just free yourself up off of that. And when you do that, you just not only feel better, but then you're able to actually believe the new beliefs that you are training your mind to believe, that you're training your mind to think, because there's no longer an emotional charge getting in the way of you holding on to this new belief. And a couple of other things that aren't necessarily practices, but in terms of things to do, but more so tips that really help me, especially during this time, especially if you have anxiety, is to stay the frick off of social media first thing in the morning. I made a mistake twice this week where I got a notification, and I've had my social media notifications off for years now, just because it's insanity. It's insanity to have all of your fight or flight mechanisms to go into effect over social media notifications, because that's what happens. We get dopamine hits every time we have a notification, or we have a like, or we have a comment, and we have become addicted to the likes and addicted to the comments. And social media platforms know that. And if you've never noticed this before, something that Instagram actually does is it groups together your likes and comments, so that when you go on the app, it does, instead of showing you oh, you got one like at a time or one comment at a time, it'll actually group them together where you will see that you have 10 likes, and it all happens at once. And you're like, whoa, 10 people liked my thing. And it's just an automatic dopamine hit. And just depending on your mindset at the time that you go on social media, it can either fuel your dopamine levels where you are having a great time on social media, but as soon as you get off, you get those withdrawals. And those withdrawals send you back to social media where you're just mindlessly, aimlessly scrolling, looking around, counting your likes, counting your comments. Right? And then also when you see something that might trigger you, then that's putting you into fight or flight and causing you anxiety. And you're like, why did I see that? If you got a negative comment or someone posted something about you or whatever it is, you're just like, why did I do that? And it just sends you into this downward spiral. So I find that unless my mindset is in tip-top shape for the day, I will not go on social media. And I made that mistake twice this week because I got a notification from someone sending me a funny meme from Instagram. And in order for you to see it, you have to actually go to Instagram. And then I got distracted. And then next thing I know, 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh my God, anxiety is building up because I'm like, wait a second, I didn't take care of myself first. I didn't work my muscle first. I didn't log on with intention. I just aimlessly logged on here. And this is nothing against social media. I think social media is brilliant. Social media has helped me build my business. Social media has helped me connect with many incredible people. Social media has connected me with all of you guys, right? If you're following me on Instagram, which if you aren't, it's at Manifestation Babe. Very, very simple, just like the podcast. I think it's awesome. However, we are not doing it as intentionally as we should. So that's a tip right there. Don't go on social media first thing in the morning. Another thing that I've been thinking a lot about, especially since we have a lot of time on our hands right now, is to be a contributor, a collaborator, and creator, not a consumer. Now is the time when we have so much time on our hands and things are uncertain that we are very susceptible to kind of take on what everyone else is doing and tune into what everyone else is doing. And we become consumers rather than contributors, collaborators, and creators. And I think that right now, the question we should be asking ourselves is, what gifts do I have to offer to the world? And I've really gone away in recent years, and now especially so important, from watching what everyone else is doing and tuning instead really deeply into what I want to be doing. And it's so easy to catch yourself, especially when you don't have your mindset in order, and especially when you have a lot of time on your hands and you're being unintentional. It's so easy to catch yourself kind of looking at what everyone else is doing and setting goals based off of what someone else on the internet accomplished, rather than asking myself, is this really what I want? Like, really, is this really what I want? Or is this something that I saw someone else accomplish that I think looks nice and sounds nice, looks awesome. People are very, very happy for them. So I want that feeling. And so I'm going to set that as my goal. And I've caught myself doing that a couple of times in the recent months, where I would set my intentions in my journal of what I want to achieve and what I want to accomplish and what I want to create. And then I realize, wait a second, I don't actually want that, right? Like that's not me. That's just not who I am. And that's okay. I'm very, very proud of who I am. And my version of success does not have to look like someone else's version of success. And especially with people who don't have their mindset in order, that they don't do their inner work, they don't do their ego work, they don't do their trauma work, they project a lot of things at others. It's so easy to be a consumer and a destroyer. And when you're a consumer and destroyer, what that looks like is tearing other people down, or envy, or jealousy, or leaving negative comments, or destroying someone else's work, right? Destroying someone else's creation is sometimes much easier than creating your own, especially if all you're doing is consuming, right? Because then all you're doing is wasting time at that point. And the way I look at the times right now is really the time to share hope, to share faith, inspiration, and love with other people. How can you collaborate, create, and contribute what you want to see in the world, rather than consuming what everyone else is doing? And if you want your own strong mindset, this is absolutely key, because otherwise you take on everyone else's viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs, and you don't even know who you are. And I catch myself doing that a lot, where I'm like, wait a second, is this really what I want? Like, I have to think about it. Sometimes I'm like, is it because this is someone else's opinion, someone else's belief, someone else's viewpoint, someone else's perspective of how life works, perception, or is this actually what I want? And then my last and final tip on keeping your mindset in tip-top shape is to find an expander to show you what is possible. An expander is someone who has already accomplished, created, or manifested something that you want for yourself. They're kind of like your energetic role model. They're not someone you copy. They're not someone that you just live and breathe, 24/7, but there's someone who you're like, damn, what she's doing, she's killing it. And she is showing me right now what is possible for my life, or he is showing me right now what's possible for me. My current expander, and I'll share with you guys, someone who I love, like on a deep level, I don't even know her in person, but I love her, is Brooke Castillo of the Life Coach School. If you guys aren't following that podcast, I highly recommend it. It's really awesome stuff. I'm just in love with her, and I love and respect her work. And I think she's a phenomenal coach. She's a phenomenal leader. And especially she's an expander for me because she's someone who runs a $25 million company with the goal of creating a $100 million company. And guys, $25 million company means she is generating $25 million in revenue per year. And her goal eventually is to turn that into $100 million a year every year. And I have the exact same goal. I see Manifestation Babe turning into a $100 million company. And so she's just been an expander for me because, first of all, she has zero worries just about anything getting in her way. Like, she's just so certain and so confident. She has zero worries about the current economy. She is just focused on creating. She's focused on collaborating. She's focused on helping. She's focused on creating. And she's just so sure of herself. And I love her confidence. And I love that she is inspiring other people of what's possible for them too, as she's unapologetically going after her dreams and goals. And so for me, she's been a huge expander. And I highly suggest and recommend you guys to find an expander, whoever it is, to continuously remind you of what's possible. Anytime you have doubt, just go back to your expander and be like, what would Brooke do in this situation, right? That's what I always ask myself. Like, what would Brooke think of that? Would she get caught up in this? Would she not do this, or would she do this? And just even like filtering some things through that filter is huge, because then you're like, well, I aspire to be someone like Brooke Castillo. And if she wouldn't do that, or she wouldn't think that way, then I have to think twice about why I'm choosing to do that and why I'm choosing to think that way, right? Again, it's not about trying to, copy someone or be someone who you're not, or think that that person is the template of success and the template of how things should be. It's just a nice model for you to have. It's a nice framework for you to have where you can check yourself before you wreck yourself, if you know what I'm talking about. So, do you guys have any practices that you're currently loving? Because I just shared mine. And I want to ask you, what's keeping your mindset in tip-top shape at this time? Right now we're kind of limited. We're kind of limited from seminars and events and retreats. I had to postpone my retreat. I really love my retreat, but unfortunately can't go because, first of all, borders are closed. Second of all, don't want to risk anyone getting sick. So lots of reasons why we can't go to the retreat. But for me, it's really been, and for all of you guys, like, your options are books and courses right now. Books, courses, and hiring a coach, or going into a group coaching program. And if you're looking to build a strong foundation for your mindset based off of everything that I've learned in the last decade of what's made my foundation really, really strong, to where you can overcome any challenge and manifest whatever you want into your life, the Manifestation Babe Academy actually officially closes tonight at midnight. So this is the last reminder you're going to get, and this is 100% the last round of the year. I know I said that last round, but I swear, you guys, we did not expect to do this. In fact, launches aren't necessarily like something we just throw together as my team. It actually takes a lot out of my team. And so my team has to really set everything aside in order to be committed to answering your guys' questions, make sure you guys are enrolled, make sure that you are in the right place at the right time, make sure you have access to everything, and helping me with anything that I need personally for me around opening and closing a launch. And so we definitely, swear to God, did not expect this, but we have decided that coming from service is way more important for us. And instead of taking a break right now that we would have all been taking, it's so much more important for us to help you and to serve you and to help you build that foundation. So in order to enroll, go to manifestationbabeacademy.com. Again, that's manifestationbabeacademy.com. You can also swipe up on the show notes, and that's where you will find the tachyon rods. You'll also find Samantha Skelly's program for breathwork, and you'll also find, of course, the Manifestation Babe Academy. And now, if you guys love this episode or enrolled into the Academy, please take a screenshot of you listening to this episode and share your biggest takeaways with me on the gram. Or if you enrolled inside of MBA, take a screenshot of your enrollment. I'd love to see it. I'd love to welcome you. I'd love to celebrate. I've been catching as many of you guys as possible and just sending you a message, because I love welcoming every single soul who says yes to themselves in the Academy. And I think it's such a big deal to say yes to your soul, to say yes to yourself, because we are not conditioned to do that in our society. We're conditioned to put ourselves last. We're conditioned to say no to our truest desires. We're conditioned to believe that everything that we want is just a fantasy, when I'm here to tell you, your fantasy can be real freaking life. Okay? I love you guys so freaking much. I have so many more podcasts coming your way. I'm like on fire with this thing. I'm going to keep doing my breath work, and I will catch you in the next episode. Mwah. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you absolutely loved what you heard today, be sure to share it with me by leaving a review on iTunes so that I can keep the good stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me on social media, come soak up the extra inspiration on Instagram by following @ManifestationBabe or visiting my website at manifestationbabe.com. I love and adore you so much and can't wait to connect with you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out there and manifest some magic.